is going on, Commander fans? Welcome back to We Hail. This is the Washington Commanders fan page. We are going to go over some content today that has to do with Washington and the quarterback. Before I get started, make sure you like, share, subscribe. This channel's gotten a lot of traction lately. Comments and likes are good for the YouTube algorithm. So if you have any questions or comments about what I say, if you disagree, just be respectful, put it down below. I usually reply back to everything unless it's like a book, and then I might have to have a whole video dedicated to responding to a book. However, I do reply when I can, and I like the engagement. So appreciate that. So before I get started here, I have another YouTuber's video showing on here right now. This is from Street Scores. His name is Rico. Before this gets started, this is not me like ripping on Rico. This is nothing like that. So make sure you watch through this before you comment, okay? This is me reacting to the news he's reporting, because he's not putting an opinion out there. He's just putting reporting out there of what a lot of pundits have said, okay? So that's more or less what this is about, okay? I watch his stuff. As you can see, I'm subscribed on there, okay? So I'm a subscriber to his content. So I enjoy his content. I listen to it all the time. He does a little bit more in depth than I do, okay? Because maybe he has more time than I just don't have the time, okay? I have a gaming channel I manage, and I work like 50 plus hours a week. So I don't have time to go into the details, but what he said today really reinforces something I've been harping on lately, okay? So I'm not going to play this video, but if you want to go watch it, it's Street Scores, and it came out a day ago, so it's not, it won't be hard to find. It's one of his most recent videos, okay? But here's what the content of the video is. The content of the video is he is talking about how inconsistent the grading of the quarterbacks is by a lot of the national pundits, by guys who have opinion, who like Mel Kiper, Todd McShay, Chris, I can't think of his name right now. It's quarterback. I can't think of his name right now, but watch it. You'll see what I mean when you watch it. I think there's a quarterback for the Chris Sims. I think is what it is. Or Phil Sims, maybe that's what it is. Whatever. He's a quarterback. He has talks about quarterbacks all the time, but a lot of this stuff is inconsistent. Okay, a lot of these things are very inconsistent. One guy says that Drake May is the best number one in the draft over Caleb Williams. Another one says that it's Caleb Williams. I think Caleb Williams is the consensus number one. And I've stated my opinion. I think he's going to be a bust. And when I say a bust, I don't mean like he's going to be out of the NFL in like 2 years. I think he's not going to live up to the number one overall status in which he's going to be picked. For example, Chase Young didn't live up to the second overall pick to me. I think he was a bust in that regard. Is he still going to be an NFL player? Absolutely. Is he still going to have a pretty long career? Sure. But he's not the elite player that should have been drafted at number 2. He might have been elite for like 1 year, but he wasn't elite after that. Okay? So when RG3 came out, or it has to be a consensus that the person's like, this is my issue with it. If we had a consensus first overall pick, and we had a consensus, this guy is the quarterback, no team should pass on this. Like Andrew Luck was like that. Joe Burrow was like that. That no guy should pass on this. Yeah, take that quarterback. But if we have a guy both the guys that we could take, which is Drake May and I should get another guy, Jaden Daniels. Neither one of those to me seem to be like they're slam dunks. So why should we waste a pick when we have a quarterback that if we just invest a little bit more in the offensive line, have a better coaching staff around him, could significantly be better and be as good as one of these two guys without all the risk of giving up a first-round pick to get him. Okay? If you watch the video, he goes through how a lot of national pundits, it's not consensus of who the number 2 quarterback is. It's not even consensus who the number 1 quarterback is. Some quarterbacks is listed as low as 4. Drake May is listed as low as J.J. McCarthy. And I don't like J.J. McCarthy. I don't think he's as good as people think he is. Okay, I think he played on a really good team, and every time he stepped on the field, he played with the best talent on the field. Every time he played last year. Okay, so I don't think he's as good as listed. I think Drake May playing with like lesser talent, but he also played in lesser like conference. So I just think there's too much inconsistency around the grade for these guys to me to say that yes, we need to take this guy hands down, no questions. There's way too many questions. Way too many questions. We've seen what Sam Howell can do in the NFL. We saw what Sam Howell did in the NFL with a bad coordinator, with a bad offensive line, a lot of drops by receivers, always being put in a bad situation. What do we know about these guys? Okay, there's nothing that we're going to find out from the combine about these guys in those situations. Okay, we've seen Sam Howell, and can a lot of the things that are wrong with Sam Howell be fixed? Abso-freaking-lutely. Okay, so that's the problem that I have with the quarterback class right here. If we had the number 1 overall pick, I think Caleb Williams is probably the most talented, but I think there's other issues going on. That guy's very arrogant. You kind of want that in your quarterback, but sometimes you be too arrogant that you can't be coached. That's the problem. There's a reason why Cliff Kingsbury didn't walk into the Washington and say, you know, we got to trade up for this guy. No hands down, no questions asked. We got to get this guy. He's that good. There's a reason why that we haven't traded up and gotten this yet. Maybe we will, and maybe I'll be proven like completely wrong. But in my opinion, I don't believe that Caleb Williams is that. Like, I think talent-wise he's the best, but I don't think there's other things that are. I think other things are going to be the problem with Caleb Williams. Jaden Daniels and you and Drake Maye are not going to be. I think there's too many questions than there is answers. And when we can just trade back and someone else can trade up and try to solve those questions and get those answers, we can trade back and we can solve all the problems on our team. I just posted a video the other day. It was about us and our free agency. Okay? And there's over 20 plus guys we have to replace. 23 total if you count restricted free agents. And we can't replace that all with just free agency. We have a lot of money in free agency. We're not going to replace it all. Okay? We got to get more picks to replace other positions. And if we trade back and get multiple picks, whether it's this draft or the next draft, that to me is a much better strategy. And going with Sam Howell for one more year than trying to draft the quarterback. What's going to happen? We draft the quarterback. Are we going to start him right away? Okay, cool. So we start him right away. We don't have a top-tier offensive line. So what happens if the offensive line is so bad that he has a bad year? Are we just going to drop him and go with the next quarterback, draft one next year? That seems to be how this is supposed to work. If you have 1 year and you don't play great, there's no excuses. You can't say there's a bad offensive line. Okay, that's the stigma. That's the standard we are setting. When we say you had one bad year as a quarterback, that everything around you was bad, all the coaches around you were fired because of how bad they were, but you somehow are held to a higher standard because you are the quarterback and everything around you sucked, but you have to be held to a higher standard. So if we draft Drake Maye or we draft Jaden Daniels and they suck their first year, are we moving on from them? I want to know that. This is a facetious question. Okay. It's a rhetorical question. Okay. But it's also a little bit of seriousness because that's how we're treating this. That you get 1 year to prove yourself no matter what is around you. And if you're not good with what's around you, you got to go. And we got to draft another quarterback. And we're going to repeat this process until we get the right quarterback that has his first year playing football perfect, right? Is that how we're supposed to do this? Okay, if any of you are commenting down below, like that, it's not a serious question. But that's the standard we are setting for ourselves when you have 1 year with everyone can admit that everything around Sam Howell sucked, okay? Offensive line sucked. Even running the ball, they weren't that great. They were better than pass blocking for sure. Okay, the coordinating sucked. The receivers dropped a lot of passes. Tight ends dropped a lot of passes. Okay, and the defense was constantly putting them in bad spots. Constantly. Okay, and we're all going to look at that, and the head coach sucked. The defensive coordinator sucked. Offensive coordinator sucked. So we're going to look at all that and say we can all admit that all those things were bad. But then a handful of us out here say, okay, well, no quarterback's going to be good in that situation, so let's give him another chance. While everyone else is like, no, he was supposed to thrive in that situation. We know what he is. Look how he played. Okay, he played with all that crap. Okay, I know I'm beating a dead horse on this. If you've seen my videos before, it's probably fallen on deaf ears at this point. But this video right here and the points that everyone's making really does reinforce why I don't personally want to draft a quarterback this year. If we do, great. I'm a fan of the team. I'll be a fan of the guy. Okay, I hated our Dwayne Haskins pick. Not trying to speak ill of the dead, but he was way overpicked. He should have been probably maybe a 3rd or 4th rounder at best. We picked him like 7th overall. Okay, I hated the pick. I still cheered for the guy. Okay, because he's a Washington Redskin, Washington Commander, Washington, whatever we're going to be in the next 3 years. Okay, but it doesn't mean that the wrong choices were made. Ron's made plenty of wrong choices when he could have made a lot more right choices. Like I said, Chase Young. If you want to go back and watch my video from like 4 years ago, whatever it was, I said trade back or trade up. Okay, trade back, get a haul of guys rather than just having that one guy. And look at it now. We got one good year out of Chase Young where we won the playoffs. We never got close, never sniffed the playoffs again. Okay, he wasn't consistently good. Okay, and instead of getting a haul for him, we could have got probably 2 or 3 picks out of him. We got nothing out of him. Okay, we got nothing for the guy except for maybe we got like a 3rd round pick or something sent to us by someone else. Okay, that's what we got. Woohoo. Great. Okay, so I don't want to make this video much longer than it has to be. It's only been 10 minutes, and that's all I want to talk about in this video. I do recommend checking out the last one. It goes over free agency and how much free agents we actually have to replace, which is it's like 23. So if we trade back and we can accumulate 3 or 4 more picks in this draft, that's going to go a long way towards rebuilding this team and rebuilding it faster. Okay, that's my personal opinion. So without further ado, that's pretty much it. Hail to the Commanders, hail to the Redskins. Let me know what you think. Comment section down below. Like, share, subscribe. Just went over all that. There's a little bit of cards should be popping up. One is going to be for my last video. The other one is this will be a button to subscribe to the channel. Okay. Let me know what you think. Have a good one, and I'll see you guys next time.